computer hardware doesn't slow down. We've proven it multiple times. So then, why does your old PC feel so much slower than when you first got it? The answer lies in the software. And it's the same reason that your phone feels slower as it ages. Each subsequent Windows update adds features and bloat that can drag down performance. So then, well, what? Do you have to run an old operating system full of compatibility and security issues? No, there's a new kid on the block. Its name is AtlasOS. And thanks to Acer sponsoring this video to promote their recent Earthion Green initiatives, we're gonna be taking it for a spin with some hardware that is so obsolete that we paid less for this entire box than the cost of the included Windows license. Let's see if we can get this puppy running like new. Spoiler, we can, and it is super awesome. Our adventure begins with a bog standard, obsolete big box store PC. We wanted something from Acer, of course, since keeping old electronics out of the landfill was a huge motivation for them to sponsor this video, and we settled on the Aspire TC780. It's in that weird anti-Goldilocks zone. It's too new to be retro and too old to be current, and most businesses would basically just pay a recycler to haul these things away by the palletful, which is good, because it means they go for cheap. We paid 150 Canadian dollars, or about 110 US, and that included a keyboard and mouse, which weren't amazing, but let's say we could flip them for 10 bucks, giving us a total of 100 US dollars for our tower. Internally, I don't know, it's probably, seen better days. Anthony, your fix for the dead fan is still on here.
Oh, crap, I meant to fix that.
I'm just gonna that. Spoiler, we have to fix a dead fan. I'll get to that later, one moment, please. Overall, nothing a can of dust-off can't fix, and she powers on. 4-pin CPU power, 24-pin motherboard connector. Oh, front USB 3, that's nice to see. And 4-pin for our CPU fan. Also, standard MATX motherboard and ATX power supply. This is gonna make the process of refurbishing this thing a lot easier. Well, isn't that just fantastic? Wow, does this even have M.2 support, Anthony?
It does.
What? That's awesome. 7th gen had M.2 support?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess this is as good a time as any to talk about the CPU in here. It's a Core i5-7400, so that's 4 cores, 4 threads, 3.5 gigahertz max boost. It was kind of the 7th gen's bang for the buck CPU with higher core clocks than its predecessors, but at the same cost. Not only was it less expensive, but compared to higher end chips, it had a 65-watt TDP and could easily be cooled with low-cost heatsinks, making it a great choice for a budget system. For that reason, we're not actually gonna replace this almost Intel stock cooler in here. We're just gonna destroy our lungs by wiping it down, and we're gonna put a new fan on it. I wonder how many people worth of dead skin cells I've inhaled over the years of doing this. It's a really uncomfortable thought. What's not uncomfortable is that 400 class Core i5s have long been considered excellent value for gaming, with the more recent 12400 and 13400 being solid contenders for entry and mid-range gamers. For us though, there is absolutely no need whatsoever to change anything in here. We're just gonna get some zip ties, put this just random fan we found. It happens to be a Noctua, but yours doesn't have to be. Put this random fan in here, and we should be off to the races. Look at this, I found an 80mm fan kicking around, and I don't even need to zip tie it anymore. Totally lines up. Nice. Now we just plug this into the CPU fan header, and no need to change anything here. In time, you might find that multiplayer games are gonna demand more cores, but it's certainly enough for a responsive desktop experience today, and could even be upcycled later into a home server. Solid investment. Moving on, our current RAM configuration is a little suspect. We've got a 4 gig stick and an 8 gig stick for a total of 12 gigs, which is a lot of RAM, but not ideal because we're not getting dual channel, and the speeds of these sticks are mismatched at 2133 and 2400 megatransfers per second. Unfortunately, the BIOS of this machine does not support XMP or setting the RAM speeds manually, so it will simply match the speed of the slowest stick to ensure compatibility. Our best course of action then is to pull out our 4 gig stick here, see you later, and replace it with another 8 gig similar speed DIMM. Time tech. These can be found online for about 20 bucks, since their slower speed makes them not super desirable. Now, you could potentially flip that 4 gig stick to recoup a little bit of your cost, but I think it's probably worth more as a spare for troubleshooting, so I would probably just hold on to it. Now let's power this up, and for a total of 30 bucks for a stick of RAM and a generic 80mm fan, we should have 16 gigs, 4 cores, and a working cooler. There are still some things we need to do. Yes, we're gonna do hard drives, but first, we're gonna do power supply. Now, the power supply that's in here is an FSP unit, good brand, rated for 300 watts continuous, which is probably fine too. Like, this is a perfect fit for the original hardware and probably perfectly reliable. With the CPU's 65 watt TDP and no GPU, it probably never ran at more than 50% of its capacity. But the lack of PCIe power and the possibility that it's deteriorated over time to become less efficient means we should probably replace it proactively if we have space in our budget. With that said, don't throw it out. You can still totally use this thing as a hobbyist benchtop power supply if you're so inclined. And personally, I use what I call doorstop power supplies for all kinds of things, like just running fans, for example, to cool something outside of a computer. Like, they're just very, very useful. One nice thing about the old school ketchup and mustard style cables is that they're color coded for voltage. Red is 5 volt, yellow is 12 volt, and black is ground. So you can put whatever connectors you want on these things as long as you don't overload the rails, which are conveniently labeled on the side, and power whatever you want. For a replacement, we don't need something super powerful. We just want to make sure that we do our homework and get something decent. So we settled on this EVGA 400 watt unit that is a power supply. I mean, doesn't really, we're not recommending the cheapest possible thing. EVGA does stand behind their products. RIP EVGA graphics cards, wish they still existed. It doesn't have modular cables, and ketchup and mustard make a triumphant return, but it's more than enough for what we're going to be doing. This is actually an older unit, but as the lab ramps up their testing, we're going to be building a database of the performance characteristics of every budget power supply, so that whether you're refurbing an old machine or building a new budget machine from scratch, you can get something decent without overspending. Oh, on that subject, our water bottles on lttstore.com are all the same price regardless of capacity. You can get any size you want without overspending. Now, while I pointed out earlier that our board supports M.2 drives, we don't necessarily need the fastest drive. You can get an inexpensive 500 gig SSD for about 40 bucks on sale, or even a 1 terabyte for around $60. SSDs have gotten shockingly inexpensive lately. For us, we're going with an old WD Blue 250 gig, and the main reason is that you can pick these up for even cheaper on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. Thankfully, Acer included mounts for 2.5-inch drives. Are they toolless? Nope. Altogether now, the correct number of screws for a 2.5-inch SSD is 1. Look, that's good enough, right? Ah, she's not going anywhere. This is an extra screw now.
The place for an extra screw is not inside the chassis.
That's true. That's true. That's bad, what I showed you just now. In fact, I'm going to punish myself by making myself put in another drive for the SSD. SATA data or SATA data? Ooh, there's going to be a war in the comments tonight. Everyone typing it. It's SATA data. It's SATA data. I can't tell which one. It's a little late in the day. We all just want to go home. Now, there are many GPUs available on the secondhand market that would suit our needs just fine. We could go super low end here. 1050 Ti's can be had for under $100. But the bang for the buck of the 1660 Ti is hard to argue with. It should be able to game at 1080p medium at least in this system, and it fits within our thermal, power, and space constraints. These go for around $200 new. That's a lot. But this is the E-Waste PC, so realistically, we would suggest picking up a secondhand one on eBay for anywhere from $100 to $150 US. The 1660 Ti doesn't have AV1 codec support, but it'll accelerate H.264 and H.265 and has the higher quality NVENC encoder. Whatever value GPU you end up going with though, be aware that some require a resizable bar to reach their full potential, and older systems like these don't always support it. Fortunately, Acer still has the full support site up for this desktop, which is great and super important for helping folks like us extend their lifespans. Last step, power. Oh, and also this, I guess. Why is this not clipping anymore? Did I break it?
Did you break it?
I think I broke it.
It was all working.
Oh, I bent it. I bent it real good. Nice. Plug the HDMI into that now. Obviously, this isn't going to boot until we configure our SSD with an operating system. Let's talk about that. Thankfully, our system has USB 3, otherwise this process would be a little on the slow side. We're just going to fire up the media creation tool, plug in a USB drive, and while this is imaging, Acer sent over their Vero laptop. Full disclosure, I have a stake in Framework, a competitor, but Acer has clearly been making great strides of their own when it comes to sustainable computers, starting with an easy-to-open chassis and non-soldered components. This is what they're calling a green PC, and it's part of their Eartheon initiative. It's Acer's mission platform for a greener future. And it's literally green, which is because this is super cool. You can actually see the flecks of post-consumer plastics just kind of mashed together in order to make this chassis. I actually kind of like it. Eartheon encompasses everything from product design and packaging all the way through to production, logistics, and recycling. This particular one is powered by Intel's 13th gen core processors and is Intel Evo verified. There's enough horsepower on tap to handle most tasks while maximizing battery life, meaning you need to charge less often, which prolongs battery health. When you do need to charge, its fast charge capability means you can add 4 hours of endurance with just 30 minutes on the wall. And their ultimate goal is to bring in their business partners and use their shared technology to change the world for the greener. You can join the movement by advocating for sustainability wherever you can, or simply by living a greener life. We're doing our part today by pulling potential e-waste from the landfill. But if you're not up for all this work, choosing to support initiatives like Eartheon and machines like the Vero can help. Of course, you still want to see what this old thing can do though, right? And you're saying the trackpad is made of ocean plastic?
Yeah, it's made from ocean-bound plastic. The entire chassis is 30% post-consumer recycled materials, so.
That is super cool.
Yeah.
You might be wondering why not 100% post-consumer materials? We've actually been learning a lot about this for our acoustic panel project. You just can't because of the unpredictable way that it'll shrink after molding. But 30%, pretty darn good, especially post-consumer, because I think we were able to get as high as like 45%, but that was just reground new plastic. That wasn't post-consumer.
Well, you want to know what's even better?
Yeah.
The keycaps are 50%.
Shut up. They don't even look or feel like bad.
Yeah, even the keycaps, 50% PCR. I don't know how they managed that.
Yeah, that's super cool. Here, while this is doing its thing, I'm just gonna open it because it looks like it's that easy, right?
It's all Phillips screws.
See, the thing is, I don't care if my investment wins or if everyone else just does better. I just want more stuff like this. In the long term, I want to see this kind of concept make its way into their higher tier products, but I understand you've got to start somewhere, and obviously you've got to mitigate the risk of the development somehow. So starting with something that's relatively small is a way you can do that. I just need one clip to release so that I can get under it. Did you get it open, Anthony?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I wonder if part of this is just because of the plastics.
That might be. That might actually be why there's so many clips and screws.
Yeah, because the tolerances are going to be not as tight with this post-consumer plastic. There it is. Socketed RAM, socketed SSD, everything very easy to access in here, actually. Socketed Wi-Fi, which you can't even take for granted anymore these days. That didn't used to be impressive, but now I'm seeing a lot of soldered Wi-Fi. 2 screws on the battery, total, that's it. Very cool. I gotta say, this started out as just sort of sponsor talking points and has turned into, I'm pretty impressed. This seems to be more than just paying lip service to green. This is like super serviceable. Okay, editor, good luck. Before we game though, I feel like we should do a peel here. Oh, ew, this is very old electrical tape. It's icky. Oh, why did they put on tape to keep the peel on? You monsters, and you know who you are because nobody else put on tape quite like you did. Let's play some games. Oh, wait, well, first I guess we should just sort of navigate the operating system, right? You know, Chrome launch, yeah. All right. And we're not screen recording locally. It's an HDMI pass-through to a separate PC, so it won't affect performance in any way. Things are definitely a little bit hitchy. This is a standard Windows 10 install, fully up to date with some mild manual decluttering. So we uninstall OneDrive, Skype, etc. It's chugging a little. Whether we're talking alt-tabbing out of games, launching programs, I mean, even start menu animations, it's chugging a little. There's no denying that. While we wait for this to load is a perfect time to talk about AtlasOS. You might remember the video we did on Windows 10 Ameliorated, a project that got pulled because they were technically distributing Windows ISOs without Microsoft's approval. Well, AtlasOS used to do the same thing, but thanks to the efforts of Ameliorated dev Actrons, is now using a new framework called AME Wizard that lets it do all of the ripping and tearing out of excess bloat post-install. Meaning that they can do what they used to do, but they no longer need to distribute pre-modded ISOs, so the whole thing is fully above board. We've actually got an early access version of it here, and by the time this video goes live, you should be able to download it for yourself. It'll work not only on older hardware, but also on modern hardware, which is super cool. Okay, we're gonna try our little Halo game, then we're gonna fire things up with AtlasOS. Boom, boom, double kill, let's go! Okay, well, there's no denying it. It's a gaming machine for gamers. No, my kill, get out of here! Who does that? Who does that to a teammate? All right, rage quit. Let's fire up AtlasOS. We did some movie magic. Anthony's the one who set up AtlasOS ahead of time. I haven't touched it yet. I am super stoked. Check this out, the E-Waste PC, love it. All right, Google Chrome. Interesting.
Why don't you take a look at the process list?
Is that it? Whoa. This is markedly more responsive. I don't even need the side-by-side. This feels like a brand spanking new machine. Look at that. Look at her go. You know, this basically kills Linux as like, well, right? Because that's what people use Linux for, is getting more life out of old hardware that can't run Windows anymore. If you can run Windows with this kind of performance, jeepers creepers. I mean, even NVIDIA Control Panel launches without being dog slow. With that said, I am not expecting markedly better performance in games. That's really just constrained by your GPU. However, you know, we might get a little less stutter if our CPU's less busy working away at background crap. I just got rid of my last Windows 8.1 Embedded Industry Pro. I'm just gonna use this.
Why not, right?
This is awesome. Oh man. What? This is on a quad core from 7 years ago.
Quad core, 4 threads.
She's responsive.
But what's the compromise? What are we losing?
You're losing telemetry?
Automatic updates.
Oh,
That's
okay.
probably something they turned off. I don't know. I actually haven't looked that closely at it.
What's our memory usage right now? Look at how quickly I can check that. We're at 5 gigs with Halo Infinite running, and that's 2.4 gigs. So we're sitting at just over 2 gigs of total system use, other than, no, because another over 200 megs is also Steam. This is incredible. Our RAM usage outside of Halo and Steam is like negligible. I know this is a lot of hoops to jump through to extend old hardware shelf life, and you can obviously only go so far before you are adding to the e-waste problem, just like buying more stuff to be greener. That's why it's important to think carefully about the computers you buy. A machine with enough power to handle what you need today and a bit of room to grow into tomorrow, always a good bet. And recycled material construction and packaging are huge bonuses if you want to be environmentally conscious. Equally important is that old hardware like this doesn't have to die just because software keeps getting more bloated. For less than $350 here, we've got a machine that may be a little old, but is still totally capable of handling modern titles at decent settings. This is 1080p medium. Life doesn't always have to be about the latest and greatest, especially when the environmental cost can be so high. Remember, the 3 R's, reduce, reuse, and recycle, are in that order for a reason. Now, with a 13th gen core processor, back to our sponsor, Acer's Aspire Vero has plenty of power for today and tomorrow, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't give AtlasOS a try on it. If nothing else, it should contribute to battery life savings on top of the Vero's already impressive endurance, which, as Acer already had us point out to you, is good for the longevity of your battery as well. And hey, later on down the road when it's time to upgrade, who's to say you can't use it for something else, like streaming, serving media, or even a thin client? Its more modular design makes repairs easier and is already made out of recycled materials. They've taken care of the reduce and recycle, so it's on you to reuse. And we're gonna have this linked down below. Now it's time to play some more Halo Infinite here. Oh, it's capture the flag.
Well, thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video, hit like and subscribe. Maybe go check out the video on reusing your old computer as a server.
Ooh, that's a good one.
A really good video. I really liked it. I hosted it, but...
Not biased at all, right?
Not biased at all. I didn't write the video. It was somebody else who wrote it.